Good evening and welcome to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. My name is Donna Gray Banks and I am your host. My special guest tonight is Theresa A. Dyer, author of Being Yourself, Finding Your Strength, and Growing Up in Two Generations. Welcome, Theresa, to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation.
Thank you.
Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation is brought to you by Eyeless Diamonds LLC, Lee's Press, Milton McCulloch, author of Love and Emancipation, a Dante production, and the Fresh Book Festival, of course, which is held in the beautiful city of Daytona Beach in February 22, 23, 24. Please put it on your calendar, all authors, and come join us. I bought my calendar today so to make sure that we could all have those dates on our calendar for 2024. If you have any questions for Theresa, please leave them in the chat room. This conversation is being recorded. Good evening, Theresa. Please give us a brief background.
Okay. Hello. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me this evening. I'm glad to have you guys here. So, a brief background about myself. So, I'm a mother of two. I have 5 grandchildren, and I'm an author, of course. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been writing books for a while now. I wanted to work harder on to get out there. I'm a entrepreneur in spirit. I did Maryland Fashion Week for 15 years, doing fashion shows for the state of Maryland. I work with different film producers, Kazar and Motion Pixels Medias that help them when they're with their projects as their project manager, which I'm very happy to be doing it because I meet a lot of people that way. And I'm a retired federal government worker. So that's a little bit about me.
Well, thank you for being here. I really enjoyed, first of all, I didn't read the rest of your other books, but I really enjoyed Being Yourself, everyone. This is going to be the focus of our conversation this evening. We'll talk briefly about your other books also. And so,
Okay.
tell us how you began writing and what was your inspiration?
Okay. So I began writing at a very young age. I want to say probably around 8 or 9, I started journaling, kind of
Mm,
like writing down things down from day to day, things that I was doing, things that happened to me, or things that went on in my life from day to day. So I kind of like journal things down so that I can reflect back on what was good, what wasn't good, what I can do different, and also wanted to make sure that I could just look at it and say what God did for me that day to help me get through a bad situation or not a bad situation. If God helped me get through something and He blocked it so that I wouldn't end up hurt, then I would write down things and say, "Amen to that. This is what happened to me this day." Or things I would pray about, I write it down, and then when it gets answered, I would write down what the day it got answered, just to kind of help me understand that God does answer my prayers, and all I have to do is keep writing things down and keep, looking forward to how I can make things better for myself. My inspiration for it though was just to, I don't know, I guess when I was little, I got hurt and I just kept saying to myself, God's gonna, do something great with you, and God's gonna do something great for you. All you have to do is keep recording and writing down your thoughts and things you can do, and you can control your characters if you want to write. You
yes,
can control your outcome. You can
right.
control how you want the story to end. You can control how you want the story to begin. As long as I write it down, I can move it around and shape it and design it the way I wanted it to work. And so it kind of like worked out for me. And from there, I just started writing my books and writing things down and using them as part of my growth in as a writer. So that's what I've been doing to help myself.
Do you write down your dreams? I keep trying to do that, but I'm not really good at it. I kind of forget as soon as I wake up.
You
No.
know, Donna, the the book Finding Your Strength, that was a dream book. That
Okay.
was a vision.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of was kind of sleep one night, and I don't even know how that popped in my head, but I was sleeping and something God like put it in my thought, finding your strength. And I got up at 2 o'clock and started writing down the title. I wrote the title down and I was like, okay, I'm going to write the title down so I won't forget the thought that was posted in my head. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
write that down. And then when I get up in the morning, I'm going to start putting stuff on paper and pulling it together. So I don't, so I just kind of do it like that. I kind of fly by it. If I see something that inspires me, an action or something that's sad or something that somebody do, I should write about that, and then I'll go back and try to write about it.
Right.
I mean,
So that just leads to my next question. It says that we need to take a brief overview of finding your strength and growing up in two generations. So you said you woke up and you just started writing on finding your strength. Tell us what the basis, your internet is really low. So just be careful with that. It may go off on you in a minute. Your bars are all yellow. So just we're gonna be careful about that. We might have
for
to go back.
me,
Yeah, we might have to go back and
okay,
come back in, but it's okay. So finding your strength. Let me ask you
okay,
about if that was a dream put together, how is it? Yeah, how is it you put it together through a dream? Was it every
okay.
day?
So
Was it every day?
no, every day a new idea
Okay,
flowed to me. So
okay.
I got up, I got the laptop, and I started writing down the title. And then as I was writing the title down, I kept thinking, I really wanted that to be about like a Hallmark movie. You know how in Hallmark
Right, right,
they have those feel good movies. I
right,
kind of
right,
wanted that to be a feel good movie. I wanted it to be something that somebody can say, "Oh, okay." There's the girl is out there trying to do this, and she's trying to find love in all
right,
the wrong
right,
places, and
right.
their signals crossed, and in the end, the man comes to a rescue. I kind of wanted it to be that kind of thing. So finding your strength ended up being like a Hallmark movie. It's like a love story,
Right,
kind of, right?
right.
It's inspirational, but it's kind of a love story. It talked about this girl named Stacy, who was brilliant as a public speaker doing motivational speaking.
Mm,
She was confident at work, but at her home life, she had very low self esteem. She didn't
mm.
know how to, what she needed to do to get a man in her life. She didn't know how to talk, how to mingle with other people. She had strong friends, but herself, she had issues. And I'm not sure why she was a motivational speaker and that good in the book and shown to be a weaker person, not able to handle other day-to-day
Yeah,
things in the book. But that's how I wrote it because I mean, it's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people that are strong at work, but in their home life, they're not as strong. They don't have a voice, So she started out being that way in the book. She ends up meeting this guy in a mall that's she think he's handsome, because I say it's like a love story. She's
right.
trying to find love in all the wrong places. She finds a guy that she think is her man in the mall. David ends up being a drunk. He's drinking all the time. He's controlling. He's telling her what to and 3 months into the relationship, she's like, no, 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 no. I don't want to be, I don't want him telling me what to do.
Period.
I don't want him no more. So that ends up falling apart. That fell apart. And so after that, she just ends up meeting his best friend who has a son, a 7 year old, and they build a relationship out of it. They end up going to parks and the walks in the park, getting married at the end of the story. It's pretty cool. I wanted it to be a Hallmark movie.
Right. I
I
mean,
really do. It's really
it sounds like it could be a Hallmark.
hard.
Yeah, it really does
It
sound like it.
could be. I mean, if the right person picked it up and yeah, it
So
does.
let's talk about
The
growing
other
up. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think you're going in and out.
No,
I'm not sure why.
you're
Um,
going in and out.
I'm trying to get my husband to work with me. He's the
That's
IT
okay.
person.
I mean, listen, we're working out. You can tell because on your screen it goes from white to yellow to red.
Oh, okay.
Your bars. It's okay. Listen, we're family. We're just sitting in the living room talking. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
And
So
so growing
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 up
up
is a
into
huge transition.
Uh-huh.
So that was about a family that moved from Virginia. You
Hmm.
know, they were from out of town. They were on the farm and they had a good life on the farm because they had their own place. They didn't have outside influences, and their dad um had to come and move to the city to make more money.
Mm.
So they moved the whole family to the city. And when they got to the city, it was really different. It was different, a whole lot different. They were teased a lot because of the way they spoke, because they kept getting called country. The kids there were a lot faster and a lot meaner. But, in the movie, in the story, which became a movie, thanks to Kazar and
Hey, Zara.
um, Kazar and Motion Pixel Media, they worked together to, make that a reality for me because I wanted to see that in a movie on the big screen, which they were able to help me realize, which was
Mm.
good. But in that story, it was about this family and the mom in the family. She was always, she was so pretty. Everybody was so jealous of her because she was so pretty. So women were always trying to fight her
Oh my.
all the time. I know it was bad. The kids were getting hurt. The father, he was trying to keep everything together. And then in the end, he had a sickness and he passed away. And then
Mm.
she had to hold everything together herself to keep her kids strong.
Right.
So it was one of those. That book was one of those stories about good and evil. Every time something good happened for the family, something evil happened to try to destroy the family. So it was like a struggle, a tug of war, if you will, to try to keep the family in a good place where so much adversity was coming up against them. Some kind of way they came out on top, but that's what that was about.
So are your books set in a certain place, like Maryland, DC, Virginia, or it's just a
One um one of them is kind of like the growing up in two generations, like a country city. It goes from country to city.
but not a particular country or a particular
Not a
state?
particular
Okay.
country. No,
Okay.
just country, city.
Okay.
And the other in the finding your strength is city. That's
Mm.
all city.
That's
Like
all city.
in the city in Maryland. That's in Maryland.
Right. Okay.
That's in Maryland.
When you write specifically, people get to like to imagine where you're talking about and where it is, particularly in Maryland. So I write about DC and people always say to me, "Oh, that's not there anymore." Well, yeah, because this book was written for the 1970s. It's not there anymore, right? But it's a good
Yeah.
conversation. So tell me why writing a children's book was your next project after that. That's like two different worlds, right?
I know. Okay. So the reason for the children's book, Being Yourself,
Uh-huh.
that was inspired by my grandchildren,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
Okay. See, my grandchildren, I have five grandchildren. My granddaughter, Skylar, she used to tell me, and Landon used to always say, Grandma, every time I turn around, I'm being bullied in school. They're either pushing
Mm,
me or pulling my hair or talking about me because I'm not wearing this clothes or that clothes. It was always something. So I said, well, did you tell the teacher? Because I'm trying to figure out, why are you being bullied?
yeah.
First of all, and I'm like, if you told the teacher, why isn't anything being done about it? So then I would ask them, I said, well, what do you think we should do about it? And then Landon, who in the book is David, said, I think we need to do a program on bullying to make people understand that this isn't rape. You can't be running around pushing people around.
Right.
So that kind of came filtered out in the other book. This book kind of showed Gail trying to be protective, moving from one state. She moved from Texas to another state. And when she moved there, her dad was kind of like this person that was in sales. He was like a sales type of person, and he was able to go around different places. So when they happened to have moved here, these kids were like bullying her. They wanted to bully her because they felt like, if you want to fit in with us, you have to be this way. Well, that's the same thing Landon was telling me. He was
Oh.
telling me kids at the bus stop was telling him, if you don't push him around and be mean to him, then you can't hang out with us. And I said, what? I was like, okay, they not your friends then. I said, if you have to be mean to somebody else to make a friend, then that's not your friend. Then you don't need that person in your life. So I said, you have to start being yourself, make your own choices, follow your own instincts, and not
Mm.
be I say, don't be a follower, baby, be a leader. And I kept telling him that, and I keep telling I tell all my grandkids the same thing. I'm like, don't y'all do that. Don't follow people to do just to be in a clique. So that's how I ended up doing being yourself, because I spoke to Shamaya, is my 17-year-old granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask her all the time, did you experience the same stuff? And she's like, Grandma, when I was in middle school, I had problems when I first got there because people kept saying, I don't like how you walk, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. So I said, I'm going to interview some kids. So I started interviewing children. And I got the same thing for most kids. So I said, okay. All of my grandkids felt the same way. They felt like they had to fit in to somebody else's idea
Yeah.
to be a part of something. Even though I kept saying, no, you have to be yourself. You can't let other people make you somebody you're not, just so you can belong. So that's I just kept doing it and doing it. Wrote the book, went to a couple schools to talk to some kids in school about it. But my church has set it up so I can go and talk to other schools and their children about understanding that being yourself and not bullying other people is important. And I kept getting all kind of stuff, boy. I swear. I think some people thought this book was like a real thing going on. I mean, I
Right.
know it's real, but they
Right.
kind of thought these characters were real too.
Right.
Because they
Well,
was like, why do you keep doing that? I was like, this is just a story. I kept saying, this is a story to explain what not to do. And
right.
it's
Exactly.
like, no, these questions. I kind of was like, wait a minute, I don't know what to say to y'all. So I helped them understand. I talked to like 3 or 4 schools about bullying the second graders to sixth to fifth graders. And I was even invited back to one fifth grade school to help them transition to sixth grade about being yourself and not being a follower and being mean to fit in.
I
So
always
that's
thought that when they changed the grade levels, sixth grade going into middle school was really, really hard because I don't think most people in sixth grade are ready for middle school, right? I mean, when we were growing up, it was 1 through 6,
it.
7,
Right,
8, 9, 10, 11,
right,
12, right?
right.
I think
Yes,
throwing 6-year-olds in middle school is a mistake because I don't think
yes,
they're ready. I just don't think they're ready. But I don't know when that change happened. But that's also when I started. Listen, we all were bullied in middle school. That's what middle school is all about: finding out who you are, who your
right.
friends
What?
are, who your tribe is, and making that work for you. But I didn't really realize how prevalent it was until they decided to send sixth graders to middle school, and it seemed to get worse for some reason. I'm not sure why, because they're not ready socially, or probably, yeah, right.
I don't think so either. Mentally, they're not. They're not mature enough to be around 12, 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds. They're not ready for that.
They're not
And then
ready.
they get thrown into it, and now they have to fend for themselves because I try to tell the schools, can y'all at least let these children go to the school first, do a tour so they
Right.
can be acclimated with where everything is, how the school is set up, so they won't go in there and be so nervous. But schools don't do that. They
um we
don't
we
really
have
let you go in there.
we have a school has a sixth grade level, so that sixth grade is all one side of the school, and then 7, 8, I guess, is on the other side of the school, and that seems to work. But still, you have the interaction during lunch and hallway.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
So when
yeah.
you decided to write the children's book, writing a novel is one thing, but you have to be very succinct when you're writing a children's book because you can't use too many words. So how did that how did that work for
Right.
you? Yeah.
So Donna, I had to literally put myself in a second grade,
Yeah,
third grade mentality. I said, if I was a kid, I need to write this like I'm the kid
right.
trying to talk to another kid so that the words aren't too big for them to understand where I'm trying to go with this. And I noticed that when I was doing that, a lot of people that I spoke to said, I like how you wrote this book because kids can relate to this.
Right.
5 year olds, 6 year olds can relate to it. I had to, get my 8 year old to read it so she can tell. She had to bless the book first. She's in the second grade. She had to tell me, do you understand this book? It was like, if she told me she understood it and
Right.
she could follow it, then I was like, oh, I'm good now. Because as long as I can get Skylar to understand what I'm reading, what I'm writing, and that she understands what to do and what not to do, then I say maybe the other kids will as well. And it did. They did.
Teresa, that is a gift. Most people can't. I don't think that I could write for children just
Oh,
because, putting yourself in that mindset, making sure that you do it in a page,
right,
right? There's a lot you have to do in this one page.
right,
Whereas a novel, you could go five, six, seven, a chapter without really
right.
making the point, right? So no, I think you did a fabulous job.
And then I had to make the pictures
Right?
think with the character what I was saying. I was like, I gotta make sure that when I say this illustration demonstrates what I'm trying to say right here. Not
Right.
because kids are so visual. It's like when I was in school, they kept saying, show me the picture, show me the picture. I was like, okay, give me a minute, let me just read the story first.
They're auditory and very visual. Yes, for sure. Right. They want to see whether the young lady looks like them, first of all. You
Yeah,
know, what she
right,
has on, right? What
right.
backpack she's carrying, what color it is. I mean, all that is very important to them.
And
So,
you notice I had to
good.
make sure each nationality was represented. I
Exactly.
didn't want it to be ethnic. I was
Right.
like, I need to make sure Asian, Black America, and Caucasian was in the book
Right.
because I didn't want anybody to say this doesn't fit who I am. I
Right.
wanted them to get the book and see their self in the book, which is
Everybody's
why I
getting
have
it.
them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nicely done. And
Mhm.
and tell me why you decided to self-publish. Are all your books self-published?
Growing up in two generations
Is that
is was
self-published?
published. No, that was published in New York by Vantage Press.
Okay.
That was my first book that I got published, and I went through a literary agency for that. And you know what? I noticed that going through literary agencies and trying to find a company that will accept your writing and help, get you to the next level, I got so many no's first. It
Yeah.
was like 100 no's
Right.
before I get one. Okay,
Right.
let me work with you.
Right.
And then they want the other company when I was doing Being Yourself. There was a company, Dorrance Books, out of I think they was out of Philadelphia or somewhere.
They're out of
They
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
out of Pennsylvania. They liked the book and they wanted to republish the book, but they wanted me to pay for them to do it. And they kept saying, well, they were like, well, we did Michelle Obama's book and we did. I was like, Michelle Obama got money. I was like, I don't have like all that money to be paying. I said, I can't be paying you all this money to publish this book that I already got published.
Right?
Right? Like I already did this. I'm not doing this. Not at more money. Like
No.
I was like, you tripping?
And that's the, they give you this big spiel, and then at the end they say, this is only gonna cost you. Yeah, right.
Right. And then and Dorrance kept saying, we will market it for you. We will put the book out there. We can do this. I was like, okay, that sounds good. You sought me out for the book. I thought you was contacting me because I was gonna be a writer,
Right.
you
For
know,
you. Yeah.
for them. I was like, oh yay, I'm gonna be a writer, for a company. But then they flipped the script on me and I was like, I was like, I'm not doing that.
So you had a literary agent?
I had a literary agent with the first one
Okay. And
growing
so
up in TV.
let's unpack that. How is it that you went about getting a literary agent? So a lot of people don't understand how to do that process.
Okay. So when I went after I researched, first of all, it took a lot of research. I had to look for an agent that was able to market the type of writing that I was working on,
Right.
whether it was romance, whether it was a novel, whether it was fiction, kids book or whatever. So it's a lot of work in that. And you have to do a letter. You have to write a letter and send your manuscript to the agency. Of course, I was trying to get the book. I always got the book copywritten first. I
Right.
had to go to the Library of Congress to get each one of my writings copywritten first because I don't want to send my work out and then somebody claim it and
Right.
say, oh no, I did that. So I always want to make sure I copyright all of my work, whether it's in rough draft, because my first book was all handwritten. I did everything on paper. Everything was written off paper and transferred to a computer. And that took a long time to do. A really long time. Nights when I was working on that took nights and nights when the babies were asleep to work on this one. And I kept getting things in the mail and I kept saying, oh, I'm hearing from somebody. I'm hearing from someone. Maybe it's positive. It was another no. Nope, this doesn't fit what our company is doing. And I kept saying, man, I just want to give up. Because sometimes you just want to give up because you keep getting knocked down. But I kept saying, that's okay. I'm going to keep trying until somebody say, I'll work with you. Finally, Vantage Press decided to work with me on the book. But even though they published the book and did all the editing, all the formatting and everything, I still ended up having to pay them a portion. Even though it wasn't that much, I still had to get them to do the book. Which I mean, at that time, I
What
was just
year are
like,
we talking? What year are we talking?
let me see, what year is this?
Like
This was
2010, 11, 08?
this was a long time ago.
Oh,
No, this was like in 1980 something,
okay.
like 1989 or 1990, something like that. It was a while ago. It was in the 80s. It's like 1980 something.
Mm-hmm.
When I worked on this. And back then, there wasn't that much for people to publish for you, but it still cost you something. You wasn't going to get it for free. But the good thing about Vantage Press is they did put this book a lot of places because they took it under their wing and they market the book. This book did well
And
back then.
there was no Amazon really at that time.
No, it wasn't. This
No.
book did real well. It was like I had family from everywhere saying, I got your book. I got your book. California. I had people in Georgia and, everywhere saying, I got the book. And I was really excited about that because I saw it in some bookstores as well. And I was like, okay, that's good. I was trying to get Oprah to put it in her book club. I was excited. I was trying to get Oprah to do something too, but I could
Ugh.
never catch up with Oprah.
Well, listen, I think that back then, publishing companies really did do more for the author. Now they do as little as possible and say, "Oh, Amazon will take care of it." Well, Amazon does not take care of all that, but that's another story,
That's
another
how,
day.
I know that's right.
Uh, but I think that at one time they were really more holistically involved in the whole publishing and managing of your book. And since Amazon has become, well, Amazon started out to be the book company, right? They just exploded to everything else. But I think once they decided they put it on Amazon.com that they can just let it go. And I think that that's a disservice to somebody who spends 2 and 3 years of their lives trying to write something, and then you publish it and just throw it up on Amazon without any other marketing uh, products or strategies, right? Yeah, so
Right.
that they don't do that anymore. So that's one good thing about Vantage
Yeah,
Press did that. So you self-published Being Yourself?
I did self-publish Being Yourself, and I kind of self-published Finding Your Strength as well because
Okay,
I did hire somebody to kind of work on this book and try to get it to where it needed to be. But that didn't work out quite well. You kind of like have to watch who you work with. Okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
You have to watch who you work with. And I think at some point she kind of got mad with me for some reason. She was like, okay, I'm just going to publish it. And she did that without editing, letting me review it or anything. So I had to pull it real quick because I was like, wait, what are you doing? This isn't right. It needs to be edited. It's got mistakes all in it. And when she did that, I was really mad, because I was like, I spent money to hire her for a service and she didn't perform.
Right.
And I was, and I unfriended her too. I was mad with that.
Some people need to be unfriended, so
You need to watch who your circle is. You do.
right.
Because everybody that's smiling in your face, trust me, they're not your friend. You know?
I think everybody has I give everybody the benefit of the doubt you know, until I can't, right? I do believe that people say they can do things and then they don't do it quite right. And I try to be very open. I say to everybody, I work in the spirit of excellence. And if that's not what you're trying to do, then let's not do this, right? Because you
Yeah.
are going to be upset with me and I'm going to be upset with you because you don't want to work in that spirit, right? And
Right.
so I think those are lessons that you learn coming down the road, right? Uh, so what happened after you had to throw her into the Potomac River?
Well, I kind of I kind of told her I kind of just didn't want our friendship to end. I was like, I don't
Really?
want.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to not be your friend. So please, let's just try to regroup and fix this situation. But it didn't work out that way. So my spirit, I got a conviction about it. When I get convicted, that's it. When God said nope, I said nope. I don't
That's
want to deal with you no more because
right.
you're not who you think you are. So I just started doing my own thing at that point. With Kazar and my husband's help and my sister Brenda, they've been helping me. They work with me and they I let them be my reviewers. They tell me if they like it, if it's flowing good, if it's not. If they'll say, nah, that don't flow good. Then I say, okay, maybe I need to do something different because they are very vocal.
Right. Well, I listen. You need good people who are going to tell you the truth, right?
Yeah, or they will tell you the truth. If you messing up, oh, you gonna know about it. Not for me.
You can't wear your feelings on your sleeve when it comes to your family because they're pretty heartless. I know mine is.
Where I don't take nothing personal no more from my family. If they say something, I say, okay, that's good. Move on.
So tell me about your illustrator. How the 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 characters are fabulous. Did you just find somebody out of the blue? Was that hard work? The
No, I went through a company. I don't know if you know the company. I went through like freelancer. I'm not
Mhm.
sure if you're familiar with them.
No, not.
And I kind of like my husband and Kazar, I'm telling you, Kazar and my husband, they keep me straight. They tell me exactly what I need to. They so are resourceful. You know how they say use your resources?
Absolutely.
I use my resources well. If I know somebody that know how to do something, then I go to them and get their expertise on it and their opinion, and they'll tell me exactly what I need to do what I'm trying to do. So I went through them and I met this guy. He's from Australia. I
Okay.
think he's in Baltimore or something. And when I went out there and I did a contest, to see who can give me the best illustration of what I want. He came back right just like that. He had it. And I was like, wait a minute now. I was like, this guy, he knows what I need. I saw his illustration. I was like, that's it right there. I hired
Wow.
him. I hired him right away. Right away, I told him everything that I need. I told him to set the tone for it in writing, and he gave me those pictures based on what I wrote him and told him I wanted.
He
And
did
I
a
said,
great job, you guys.
isn't he something? I said, you're fabulous. He's really good. So now I use him again. This for my fourth book. I've used him for taking action, and
Okay.
yep, and we just finished doing all the illustrations for that one as well.
Taking Action is your next book?
It's the follow up to Being Yourself,
Okay. Is that a
because
different?
taking action is in middle school. Being yourself is in elementary. Taking action goes into middle school for
Mm,
middle aged kids. Yeah, it kind of follows that character Frances in the Being Yourself book.
okay.
Her, her and her bullying, and David goes to middle school, and Frances go to middle school. But Frances learns that the way I was acting in middle school in elementary don't work over here. I now need to change who I am, and my because she don't have no friends over there.
Right.
Because the people she was hanging out with in middle school were younger than her. So she can boss them around. But now she around people her age. And they're like, oh
Mm,
no, uh-uh. Now they talking about her and she's being bullied. So now
okay.
she knows
The shoe is on
exactly,
the other foot, right?
yeah, now the
Yeah.
script is
Yeah.
flipped. So now she knows exactly what it feels like to be bullying somebody. So her attitude will change in this book so that she can understand what it takes to be a friend.
Mm.
So that's what I like about this one, because now she becomes a friend and goes back and apologizes to the girls that she was mistreating
Oh,
for her action. Yeah. So it's a good book. The
yeah.
next one is really good too. I like the storyline on it, about how you can't think people are going to be your friend just because you're pretty,
Well, I mean,
and
listen, you can take her from middle school to high school to her first year in college.
I
Uh,
could do that. It could be a series.
just saying, there's nothing like trying to find out which sorority you're going to pledge for. You talk about bullies.
She looked like she might be like a AKA or
Yeah, I
something.
was just saying, boy, that's a hard nut to crack. I mean, it was in the
Yeah,
70s, not 80s. I don't know how bad it is now, but still, you still have that, what group are you going to hang with? Da, da, da. So that really doesn't stop completely. I don't think it ever really stops, but in that kind of percentages until after you get out of college, right? And then
right,
things kind
right.
of calm down. But that first year in college, so you got 4 books ahead of you. I'm just saying,
Like, keep going then.
yeah,
I
just
can take David and Francis and the new guy, Derek, in the book,
right,
who ended up teaching them about bullying, did a
right,
whole campaign. It was in the paper and everything.
right.
He did a whole campaign about bullying to stop this stuff going on in middle school.
I mean, this is
So,
a lifetime legacy here for you if you keep it up. It can just go so many places. The young lady could finally become a lawyer or a businesswoman, and somebody comes in and says, "I want to see the manager, and you get me a cup of coffee." That's a whole nother,
you giving me ideas.
right? That's a whole nother. So yeah, I love it. I just think it's a legacy for you, and thank you so much for even starting it. So
Yes, thank you.
tell me when you write. I write from 10 o'clock at night to 1 in the morning. So are you a morning writer? We have friends who write in coffee shops, which I'll never do.
Mm.
We have friends who write in the park. Tell me what your process is like.
So I'm a morning person too.
Okay.
I'm definitely a morning person. So once I get up in the morning, my best work is in the morning. If I can just write all the way up until 2 or 3, sometime when I start writing, I don't know when to stop. I'll
Yeah.
just, if it start going, it's going. Now before I know it, it's already 1 o'clock and I'm
Okay.
still writing, and
Okay.
then I have to stop my own self. I mean, like, you need to stop, take a
Put
beat.
a period right there. Right.
Take a beat and then come back. But it just feels like when in the morning time, when I get the coffee and I'm sitting down and the cobwebs are clear, I'm refreshed, I can just think better. And I was the same way when I worked in government. I've
Okay.
always been like an early riser, early morning person. And if you don't get me going before 2 or 3 o'clock, mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm.
I
I'm
think
shut down.
it was mid 80s, I believe, people when I finally sat down with my director and I said, you know what? Everybody has a different clock. So everybody that you're asking to be here at 7 o'clock, they're not ready. So why
Mm-mm.
don't we put them on a staggered come in, right? What do you think is going to work for you? Will 8:30
Yeah,
work for you? You want to work 8:30 to 5? You know what I mean? So we gave them uh definitions about where they wanted to be. And that was the best thing we ever could have done. Because
yeah,
everybody is not a 7 a.m. person, right?
right,
Yeah,
right.
there's no way I could write at 7
Person.
a.m. No way.
Yeah,
I don't even
yeah.
want to talk at 7 a.m. I don't want to talk to you at 7 a.m. Shh.
I know, and I can see. I would do that at work at 6. I get there at 6, and I say, "Wait a minute, I didn't even get a coffee yet. Don't don't give me a drive by until I get a coffee." It's like,
What you say, Mama Tony? That process does not work in education. No, it doesn't. It doesn't because you have to be on a schedule when you're in education. But when you're in a business world, Google will let you come to work in your pajamas. They don't care how you get there. Just get there and get the work done, right? And
right,
you
right,
want to. The cafeteria is open 24/7, and so they have realized that everybody has a different clock. Um,
right.
do you write every day? Do you write something every day? Oh, no. Let's go back to your writing this stuff out in hand. You're not still doing that, right?
I am not doing that. No, because I stopped writing in the book first of all because tendonitis,
Yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. So
Got you.
I can't do this very long because of all the carpal tunnel and the tendonitis over the years of working in government.
Mm-hmm.
So I do everything on the computer because I can save as I go. And even though I have the books, the pages start fading, it start looking worn down and stuff like that. Like the words start fading because it's so old. So I
Tony and
don't
I
do
still
that.
have a friend who writes everything out. And
He's
I
a
said,
dinosaur.
God, yeah, but he's a master writing, but whew.
Dinosaur. They don't
Mm,
want no change.
mm, mm,
But
mm.
I don't do that. I do everything on the computer now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when are we looking at the new book?
I'm thinking maybe early September,
Okay.
because I wanted to have it ready by the time school started. you know. I'll share with you the cover, later, because everything is ready now. I just have
Let's
to get
get
it.
it. Can we get it now?
Yeah. Mm-mm.
No, okay. You can't share the cover with us. Okay, it's okay.
Wait, let me see something there.
Does
You
she
can't see
change?
it.
No, you can't see it. Does she
You
change her
can't see.
hairstyle? Does she change her hairstyle in the new?
So Francis' hair looks the same.
Okay,
There's a new character that I introduced, Derek, that I was telling you about.
right.
And then David looks the same. The only thing changed was their clothes.
Oh yeah.
I was like, change their clothes. They can't have the same clothes on. And then I have a new girl in there that talks to Frances to try to tell her either you change or you're not going to be a part of anything here because nobody likes a bully.
Mm,
So Linda ends up talking to Frances about her behavior, and Frances joins the cheerleading group, and now she's friendly with everybody. It's
body.
amazing. Yeah. She really had to change who she was. I'm telling you, it's amazing. And I was thinking to myself when I was writing this is important that people understand that if you treat somebody bad, you can't expect them to like you. If you want people to accept you who you are, then you need to be nice to people
Right.
because people will treat you just the way you treat them, you know? So
For
she thought she
sure.
was, yeah. So She changed, but I like the way the other one goes. I can't wait to show it to you guys
Any
and
more
share it with.
novels? Any more novels out there just hanging around?
Nah, I
No,
don't think I'm gonna do another novel because it's so long.
it is.
It takes a long time to do a novel. Like it took me a lot of months to do Finding Your Strength
Yes.
versus the kids book takes me 2 days to write.
Right.
Like I can pop that off in 2 days. I'm
Right.
done because
Right.
it doesn't have to be as many pages, and then I can put some pictures in there to make the
and
story.
and let's get real. We need more children's books that have covers of people who look like us.
Right,
So,
right,
I am all about anybody who wants to write for us. We do a book giveaway in a neighborhood that's, kind of impoverished, right? And the children are delighted to get a book with somebody on the cover that looks like them, right?
right,
And especially if we have an author like you that comes to town and they get a
right.
signed copy, that's
And
everything.
I did that at a lot of the schools.
That's
I took a lot of
everything.
the books, yeah, I took a lot of the books with me, and they wanted to take pictures with me. Can you sign it and stand by me?
I know. It's really so. I just take my hat off to you, and you'll find later down the road. I was at an event, and I don't write children's books, but I bought a children's book author to town, and the little boy came to me and he says, "My baby brother tore up my book with my name in it." So that when
Oh,
they don't mean, that it doesn't mean anything, it means a lot. So I said to
yeah,
him, listen, I'm going to find the author, get you another book, and make sure
yeah,
yours with your name on it. It means a lot to them. So thank you for that.
right. Because I did have their name in it and
Yeah.
everything. It was cool.
Takes a
Mhm.
lot of patience with the children.
That part. That
And
part.
yeah, and they tend to be germy, and you're like, oh, but they all really just want to be a part, right?
And their attention span isn't that long either. Not no second graders. And you can't give them no sugar early in the morning.
Please don't. So we need people like you, Theresa. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It's easy for us to write these novels and talk about, how wonderful things look and how you walk in the kitchen and this is that, this is that, this is that. But to get somebody who's willing to be succinct about a message for children is wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're
So
welcome.
tell everybody how to get in touch with you.
So all of my books are on Amazon.
Okay.
The US Amazon.com one.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Okay.
you just look my name up, Theresa Dyer, then
Right.
it'll show you a list of the books that I've already had published with Amazon, which is cool. And I don't really my email address. Do I give my email address out?
That's if that's the way you want people to contact you. Some people want their books to be
Okay.
signed. So I don't know whether you,
Okay.
you
So
have a
then
web,
it would be
do you
so
have
it
a
would be
website that they go to or no?
mm.
Straight off of Amazon.
They
Okay.
can just write me. They can just write
Yeah.
me at Teresa.Dyer0117 at gmail.com.
Right. And so
And
what
I'll
you can do
respond.
is you can purchase the book, sign it for them. They send you the money however that works. And then
Yeah. If they put it in a stamped
mhm,
envelope package
mhm,
thing, I'll
mhm.
sign it and send it back.
Right.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
And what's the email address again?
It's Teresa, Theresa .Dyer, Dyer0117 at gmail.com.
So Mama Tony's giving you more work. She said you need a newsletter. You're doing a newsletter? No.
I
I'll
don't
have
do that project. My
you
sister, I don't let her do that.
it's
I'm
you.
like, what the
Go ahead. You can take yourself off mic, Mama Tony. Just tell us. I know it's good and it works.
hell? Tony can do it.
But a newsletter, you don't have to put it out but once a month. And if it has your contact information in it, you'll be surprised the number of people who will reach out through your newsletter. You may even find a teacher. And when I was in when I was working, if I saw a children's book that I wanted and that author had her email address on there, I'd reach out to her through her newsletter and say, I need 15 copies of that book for my, I need a classroom set. And most authors would sell those classroom sets to you. If the book was $20 a piece and you're going to buy 15 of them, she's going to give them to you, at kind of a group price. But a newsletter, even if you don't put out but once a month saying, this is what I'm doing.
Okay.
Generate you an email list of people who get that newsletter, because that newsletter will be shared. I might get the newsletter as a retired educator,
right.
but I know people who are still working, and I'll say, okay, they could use this. I would share that email with them. You get booked. A newsletter is your best friend as an author.
Okay. I work on that. That's gonna be my next thing to work on then. I need to work on that. Miss Mama, Mama Tony, I do.
Me too. The best I could do is two YouTubes on a Monday night. This one and then my own personal one. But yeah, it really does work. Our good friend Troy Johnson, who is the head of AABLC, one of the largest Black online book companies. You should reach out to him. Really, he sells everything online, and he has a newsletter every month. And I tell you, I don't read many, but I read his, and I do. I pass it along, and every time I read it, I say, "Oh, you should do your own newsletter," but I never do. Yeah.
I don't have a pen to write down his information, but I wish I did. I would write it down.
I'll send it to you. It's okay.
And Kenyatta Ingram, who also is a children's author and owns an online bookstore. She pushes children's books. Not only does she own an online bookstore, but she's also a children's author. I can send Donna her email address so she can send it to you.
Okay.
So you just met the resource of all resources here. I'm telling you,
networking.
She's like the octopus. It has a little head, and it's like all these little things, tentacles all around.
I love that. I love that. I do love that.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Theresa. Thank you everyone for being here this evening. It was my pleasure, Theresa, reading your book and sharing it with other people. And of course, we always ask our guests for a pearl of wisdom. And so we'll take one from you now.
Okay. So let me say, so always be your authentic self and don't ever allow someone else to make you feel less than you are. And always just because you feel less than you are, and always trust God and never give up on your passion.
Never give up on your gifts.
Yeah,
that God gives you. Yes. And so when the lights go out and the cell phone towers go down, all you have left is a flashlight and a good book. Thank you, everybody, for being on Zoom in on a Fresh Conversation. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Now you're welcome.